Now, what kind of bike can you expect to get under $10,000? That's the question that I'm going to answer today. I got 3 different makes and models here that I'm going to show you, tell you some of the features about them. So whether you're looking for maybe your first bike or even a second or third bike, I have some really cool options here. You don't have to spend $20, $30, or even $40,000 to get into a motorcycle. And so hopefully this video will help you out. Of course, big thanks to American Biker for letting me come out and check out all 3 of these. And what I really want to focus on is some of the features that you're going to get. Now, of course, all of these being used bikes, some are going to be nicer than others, but again, it depends on the bike that you're getting. This first one we have here is an 07 Heritage. One thing you'll notice, there's no windshield, nor are there any bags. Back then especially, the bags had a tendency to dry rot, and that's exactly what happened here. But what's cool is that, you know, for $300 or $400, you can get an aftermarket set of bags. You can also, for again, 300 bucks, get a decent windshield. Now this one's cool because in 07 they went to fuel injection, and then you went from the twin cam 88 to the twin cam 96. So a little bit more torque and horsepower. You got your standard lighting up here, so you have your main headlight and then your passing lamps and turn signals underneath those. This one actually has the white walls with the wire spokes. You got your highway bars up front there, so you got your riding pegs already there. You got your forward controls, big old floorboards. You got your shorty pipes on the one side, and then all your instrumentation is right here in the center. If you've seen my updated Heritage video where we rode an 18, a lot of these features have not changed, although they've made them look much better. We still got our fuel gauge on the left-hand side with this dummy cap, and then of course we got our fill cap right here. We got a 5-gallon tank, and this bike is like 730 pounds, right? And a 26-inch seat height, so almost anybody can flat foot it. You have a passenger pillion for your honey, so you don't have to leave her at home if you don't want to. You also have a 6-speed transmission on this bike as opposed to the 5-speed transmissions that they had on the previous models. So this is a really, really good bike, especially if you want to take an older Heritage that has some modern conveniences like fuel injection and stuff, but really make this thing into a light touring motorcycle, bike nights, or something you can bounce back and forth to work on. This is actually a really good one. This one's got a heel shifter too, so I really like that. This thing rides really nice. Right, when your cluster's on the tank, one issue I have is, looking down. And then on this one we have all this chrome, so I'm getting this crazy reflection back up into my face. Just trying to point out all of the things that you can expect for under $10,000, and this one is well under that amount of money, And so the biggest thing is I just want to show you what you can get for under $10,000, whether that's a Harley or a Honda or an Indian. You can still get into these things relatively cheap. This is actually really smooth, a lot smoother than the 88s that I've ridden. This one sounds good too. He's got some kind of aftermarket exhaust, which is not surprising because we all put aftermarket exhaust on our bikes. And the price is like $6,700. Now, none of these prices include any kind of tax or anything, so keep that in mind, but well under $10,000, you can put, I would say, I don't know, maybe $1,000 into it, and you have yourself one hell of a machine for, again, well under $10,000. Now, I found out whenever I did my short on this Tweety Bird bike that a lot of y'all are Honda VTX fans. What you didn't hear me say though is that the bike itself is not bad. What the previous owner did to the bike is what makes it kind of ugly. But here's my recommendation. Here's what I would do with this bike. First of all, you have a 1795cc. They call it 1800, but whatever. You got a really big engine, and This one's liquid cooled and it is fuel injected as well. By the way, this is an 03. Now, as you can see, the previous owner put on this fairing, they put the radio in there, they put the bags, they put the tour pack on there. But let's just imagine this thing totally stripped down. These bikes actually looked really sharp. Very similar to the Heritage in a way, except different. You have a 739-pound bike, 27-inch seat height, and like a 4.4 gallon tank. So what's cool is the way the brake works on these bikes. You actually have two 3-piston calibers up front, and then you have a 2-piston caliber in the rear. So when you just hit the front, it's going to engage the 2 outer pistons, but when you hit the front and the rear, it will engage the middle pistons as well. So I imagine the stopping power on this bike is probably pretty good. And the Honda VTX, man, they made these things from like 03 to 09. And of course they still have the Shadow, the Rebel, and the Fury, but this bike actually had a really good run for, 6 years or so. Now you got a really wide tank in here, so it does sit a little bit different than something like a Heritage or even the next bike I'm gonna show you here. Yeah, this one is a rough girl. But again, if you're looking for something like this, that's at a really low price. I think they're actually doing a price reduction on this thing too. So this one is well under 10 grand. The only thing I notice is that, I don't know if it's because of that fairing, but when you actually turn the bars, it feels, just feels really heavy, or almost like it falls over to that side. You could tell it's not designed for that weight. I don't know how much that thing weighs, but you can tell it's not designed for that. One thing you want to keep in mind too with these older bikes, you definitely want to check your tires and stuff like that. And again, I'm talking to people that are new to this whole thing. You don't want to just get on a bike and say, all right, we're going a couple 100 miles. You want to go through and do some basic maintenance if it's needed. It doesn't have a terrible riding position, but where it squares off right here in the rear, it feels really awkward, dude. But you do have the front floorboards there, you have the highway bars, you have your riding pegs right there, and you do have passenger pegs on this one with the 2-into-2 exhaust on that side. This is one, to me, where I would take all of this crap right here, totally take it off of the bike. Remove the bags, because all this was really just not very well done, in my opinion. So if we were to take all this stuff off and strip it down to what it looked like from the factory, this is a banger bike for $5,500. So this is something, again, you could use as a bike night, and something that you can use to go back and forth to work if you want to keep the miles off of, your vehicle. Or if you want to learn to ride a little bit bigger motorcycle. Maybe you have an older twin cam 88. I don't know. And you want to go up to an 1800cc bike. You want to be well under $10,000. This could be a really decent option. That motor size, twin cooled, this thing is actually pretty impressive when you look past all the crap that's actually on it. The last one we're going to talk about is one of the best around town rippers. So if you're looking at a bike night motorcycle, a secondary bike, something you can take up in the mountains, curvy roads, whatever, and you want a cruiser style, again, the Scout 60 is one of the best motorcycles out there. Now, you have 78 horsepower, a 40 pounds or something like that, so under 550 pounds. This one's cool because it has the Vance & Hines grenade pipes, which they don't even make anymore. So it sounds really good. Solo seat, 3-gallon tank. The previous owner put these little mini apes on here, so I like the seating position of it, and you have the bar end style mirrors. Really easy clutch. So if this is a bike that you're gonna start on, this would be a fantastic starter bike as well. And because it's a 21, you get a relatively new bike. So if you're not looking to tinker around like these other two options that I showed you and you just want to ride, this is a good motorcycle. LEDs all the way around, 5-speed transmission, and like I said, man, the only thing with these bikes is the suspension is not great, so upgrading that rear suspension eventually is a good thing to do, and then getting a LED front headlamp would be a good option as well. Because on these smaller bikes you don't have a ton of lighting, the best lighting you can get is my recommendation. That's what I would do with this bike. But it is one of the coolest bikes that you can just rip around. You can easily learn on it. It's got a really easy throttle on it as well. I'm a huge fan of the Scout series. I specifically really like the Scout Rogue, but bikes just like this and the other two I showed you, you can get into for under $10,000. So you don't need a ton of money. These are just 3 examples. If you like this video, maybe I'll do another one, or you may like one of these videos that I've already done in the past. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.